Hey there, and sorry for the rough start. Yeah, I just want to answer a few questions. So recently I got an email from a person who was in a class I taught years ago, and he had some questions. I figured I'd answer them online this way. So the first one he wanted to know was if there was a difference between bench press and fly. And bench press being more of a straightforward push, fly being more of a grasp, or people would picture grabbing around a barrel or hugging a bear, etc., etc. And there is a large difference between each one. Which one is better is the question that he asked, and in all honesty, it really depends. I mean, that's not the way we work at functional fitness. For some people and their goals, bench press might be a great option for creating power, strength, size, shape, depending. And for others, a fly might be the option, or a one-arm push, or there's just a plethora of chest exercises. And in most cases, I don't kind of go by the standard that this one is better than that one. So, I know almost every question you ask, the answer is it depends on the person. So you got to think about what you're trying to train and why you're trying to train it. And the last thing I'd say is not to look at your body as bits and pieces, but to look at it as a whole unit. And how do you fire your chest while, say, pushing, shoving, rotating, twisting, stiff arming, depending on what your use for your chest is. If it's just purely for looks, then there are options there. If it is more from a power strength standpoint or for a competition, you may have to go with a different type of movement. One of the other questions he asked was in working opposing muscle groups. Do I recommend working opposing muscle groups within a minute, within a day? Do I like to separate them and do chest or front of my body one day and the back of my body a different day? Again, this goes with the concept of breaking the body up into bits and pieces and saying that the front of my body is my chest, triceps, and shoulders, and my back of my body is biceps and back. Therefore I'd have to have a back day and a leg day and a chest day and an arm day and a shoulder day, and that's just not the way functional fitness works. I try and create movements, and we try to create movements that really take the human body through things that it will do every day, gain strength, and then blend it into what I would consider the agility of life, what I really need for my lifetime. Another question he asked, which is a very good question, and I'm sure I could have 40 expert panel up here and they'd all say different things, and that is, should opposing muscle groups be equal in strength? And it really depends on how you test them. I find that the body is really a beautiful imbalance. It is not a balanced structure at all. It's a beautiful imbalance. So if you were to say, should my biceps be as strong as my triceps? Again, we're breaking ourselves up into bits and pieces. If my biceps are too strong, they can hurt, subluxate, destroy my shoulder. If my triceps are much stronger than my biceps, I can cause elbow damage. So yeah, there's a balance that needs to go on, but whether you're going to be able to even have a way to test that balance of front to back of the body, from bicep to tricep, shoulder to back, it's not really possible to have a good testing system that goes in and says, here's the perfect balance for you, and this is the exact amount of ratio from, say, bicep strength to tricep strength that you need to have everything function perfectly. I've heard people make comments about the legs, that the quadricep to hamstring, the hamstring should be 3/4 of the strength of the quadricep. And then when I looked at how these same people were testing those two things, they were using a method that didn't make any sense at all. So, it's always interesting to me to hear these questions, because in many, many cases, once someone's in the door for a couple of sessions, these questions become moot. We want to work your body all together. We want to have your shoulders fire in a way that makes your legs know that they're firing. We don't do a ton of seated exercises at all, so or even laying down exercises. Most of our exercises are done on your own 2 feet, moving, twisting, turning, rotating, and causing muscle strength that you can, creating muscle strength that you can actually maintain and gain and see a change in your life with it. One of the last things he asked was a long torso. I have a long torso, and he needs to build muscle to support his spine. That would be correct. Should I really be doing back extensions, planks? Would you recommend something else? And what I'd recommend is really going in and looking at how that torso is balanced when you've got muscle contractions going on in your upper body. So if I'm standing and I'm pushing something, am I pushing something that's heavy enough where my back is giving way or my abdominals can't hold structure? Do I look like an athlete when I move? If I'm pulling with one arm, am I keeping my chest up, shoulders back, and rotating cleanly? Or do I find myself being pulled out of position and into a horrible, almost senior citizen type of position as I'm doing these exercises? These are all things that, the reason we use mirrors at Functional Fitness are to see how people are moving, not to comb our hair. So, even though my hair does look great, what you want to do is really say, okay, how am I moving? Do I see a deficit? Sometimes this takes an expert to really look at. Sometimes we can look in the mirror and go, my posture doesn't look good. If your posture isn't good, there's an imbalance in there. If your low spine seems like it's got a really big bend in it, there's an imbalance in there. If I'm all tucked under and holding my pelvis under all the time, there's an imbalance in there. If my knees fall in, fall out, there's an imbalance. My feet don't point where my knees are pointing, imbalance. My hands are all rotated in, I look like Lurch from the Addams Family as I'm walking, imbalance. So there is a big amount of balance that I look for in people, and there's also on the other side of it, most of the things that I look for, there isn't really quality tests out there that you can say, oh, I'm perfect because here I am, here, and here. It doesn't work that way. I've seen people that have perfect alignment, ear over shoulder, shoulder over hip, hip over knee, knee over ankle, and they're in all kinds of pain, and they have great posture. So it doesn't necessarily mean pain-free. Well, I hope the tip is work your body as one complete unit, do things that challenge from your foot all the way through your hand, and pay attention to what's falling out of place or where the failure to complete the exercise in good, clean form and technique is actually coming from. There you go. Hope you're having a great day. Good luck.